All right. Good morning, everybody. Actually, I don't know if Josh is here. I want to wish him up, but he's not. I don't see him yet. All right. We'll get there. Fine. So we left off. We got to the.
You're a day off for Josh's Mazel Tov.
It was the middle of Shir. I mean.
Oh.
I didn't see him. No, it was yesterday.
What happened to Josh?
No. His son put on tefillin yesterday, so a couple days ahead of our own Yosef. First of all, also today's the zchus of today's learning should be for Shlema.
Tinok ben Tamar Rivka. Rivka Tamar. Tinok ben Rivka Tamar.
Tinok ben Rivka Tamar, who's Rabbi Zucker from the Kollel, YU Kollel, one of the Kollel members. He had a baby. So the baby should have a Shlema. And the zchus of today's daf Daled in the Maseches Pesachim. So we left off actually exactly the two dots at the bottom. So we're at the first word, top line of Daled Amud Aleph. We were discussing saying over, relating things in a positive manner, or avoiding saying negative things. It doesn't really, not referring to insulting people, but even something which is in the negative. Right, something tameh. There are places where it says lo tahor, and so on and so forth. Right, it's even say the crop's ready. No, the crops are bad to deliver news. That was also something that was frowned upon. So Rav bar Achva de Reb Chia ubar Achte. So Rav, who was the son, right? He was actually the nephew of Reb Chia from both sides. Right, he was the son of the brother of Chia, and his mother was the sister of Reb Chia. So how is it possible? So they were step siblings, right? So the one was I guess a half, but there was no blood relation between Rav's parents. But anyways, he had uncle Reb Chia. So kisalik lahasam, when he went over there, Amar lahu Ivu Kayim. So he says Ivu Kayim is Ivu, my brother, who's your father, is he alive? Samarlei Ima Kayemis. He says, why don't you ask about my mother being alive? Samarlei Ima Kayemis, is your mother alive? Samarlei Avu Kayim, right? Why don't you ask about Avu? Right? A little strange that he mentions over here that mother, but Avu is referring to what was his name. So I don't know why he was mentioning him by his name, but he says, ask me about my father. So basically, both times when asked, is your mother alive? He didn't answer. Is your father alive? He answered. He sort of deflected. Samarlei l'shami. So having heard this Reb Chia, he realized that Rav didn't want the report, give over this, bad information, the bad news to Reb Chia himself. So he realized that they were both not alive. So he told his attendant, remove my shoes, and then walk after me to the base of Merchatz. So what's going on here? So three things. So Shvamina Talas. Three things we learn from here. First of all, Avel Asa B'Niras a sandal. So he told him to take off my shoe because an Avel should not wear a sandal, right? Should not wear leather shoes. So he says, take off my shoes. He shouldn't, so take off my shoes. Basically, he was doing avelus. He was showing his avelus because he realized that his siblings were nifter. We also learn from here that since this didn't just occur, it occurred a long time ago, i.e. more than a month ago, and he found out the news later. So the day you find out, you have a 1 day avelus. You don't have 7 days of avelus. You rather have 1 day of avel. And then we also learn from here that also part of the day is considered a complete day. So he didn't have to go ahead and sit shiva the entire day. So basically his shiva was done after he removed the shoes. He was shiva. And then he says later on, let's go to the merchatz, right? The merchatz is not something which is permitted during shiva. So obviously he was going to the merchatz on the same day, right? Which was permitted. So you see that the velus was over. Why? Because mixes ayom kakulo. Fine. Someone says, speaking of different languages, someone says duno daini. So he says, whenever there's any sort of case, I want to go to a din Torah, right? To fulfill the mitzvah of going to a beis din. Summary, they said, Shmamina midon kasi. He must be from Sheva Dan. The pasuk says, Dan yadin imo keachad shiftei Yisrael. Right? That the Shevet of Dan will be the judge of his people as one of the shvatim of Yisrael, and we see that he was from Shevadan. And Ahahu Dehavi Ka Azul of Amar Achif Yama Asisnai Briasa. A person says, "Oh, one day I'm going to go ahead and build a nice big house along the seashore, right?" And Bodku, and they checked into where he came from. Bashkor, the Zvulun Kasi, he came from the Shevet Zvulun. The pasuk says, "Zvulun l'chayf yamim yishkan," right? The Zvulun who will go ahead and reside by the seashore. So we see that also be Mekayim through the bracha to Zvulun, right? That even his descendants, still have that attachment to the seashore. Fine. Now, done with that. Now we're coming back to our sugya. So we're back to the sugya of Psachim, discussing Bedika, right? We had the Mishnah in the beginning. The Mishnah says during the evening, or we already agree that or means the evening of the 14th. You do Bedikas Chametz with a candle, with the light through the light of the candle. Sazak the Gemara, a third of the way down. V'hashta the Kaimelon de Kulei Alma or Sahu. Now that we already established, okay, that or is evening. Now Michli, let's see. Bein Rabbi Huda, Bein Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Huda and Rabbi Meir, chametz eino aser ela mishesh shos sulamala. Chametz is aser on erev Pesach, right? Let's just go back to the case on erev Pesach of, right? Let's say Friday night was Pesach, was the beginning of Yudalad, so it's from noon or 12 o'clock that day. Chametz should be aser, right? Eino aser ela mishesh shos sulamala. So why don't you go ahead and do the Bedika at the beginning of the 6th hour, right? Do the Bedika at 11 a.m., right? And then you finish the Bedika, and then you're done by 12 o'clock. You got to be done. So, okay, if you want to go ahead and argue, it says, oh, we have an Indian of the Zrizim Maktim the mitzvahs. So then let's not wait till 11 a.m. to do the Bedika. Let's do it in the morning, right? 6 o'clock, and go to the 6:25 minyan and do it 7 o'clock. Or the pasuk says, so it says on the 8th day, one should go ahead and circumcise the son. Really, the entire day is kasher lemila. Rather, those who are zrizim, those who are zaris, who are zealous, who want to go ahead and take care of, they do the mitzvahs early. So they do the earliest opportunity. So even though you have the whole day to do the bris milah, nevertheless, do it in the morning. So even though you have the entire morning, you get 11 a.m., you can go ahead and do the bedika. Do the bedika at 6 a.m. Shenemar, the pasuk says, "Vayashkem Boker," that Avram got up early in the morning to go ahead and do the mitzvah. He didn't wait. He didn't delay until later on. He got up early. So Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak b'shash b'nei adam mitzvah b'teyam. So no, we really want a time where people are found in their houses, right? And people, so that's one reason. People are found in their houses in the evening, right? The day they're gone, and then they come back in the evening. So since people are home in the evening, right, as it gets dark, or hanir yafal bedika, and also the light of the candle is good. In other words, that if in a dark room, right, the light candle, the illumination is better than even if it's just daylight outside. So therefore, there are basically two reasons why this says it's better to do bedika in the evening before, right, on the Thursday night, than to wait till early Friday morning. And Amar Abaye Hilkach therefore Heitzrim Rabbanon a Talmud Chacham, right, or Bentar, right, Liftach Bina Ba'orsa should not begin his studies in the evening of the Talesar Denagi Arbasar, the evening of the end of the 13th into the 14th, i.e., let's say Thursday, right before sunset, should not start his learning. Dilma Mishkachle Shvaitsev Asim Nunim Mitzvah, because perhaps he's going to go ahead and gets completely involved in his learning, and he'll forget his responsibility to do the bedigas chametz, and therefore he won't be he'll forget to do it. Fine. So boy binei merav Nachman bar Yitzchak. There's someone knocking on my door. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about this. 1 second. Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. Noah, your carpool's here. Yeah. Are you up or no? All right, I'll take you late. I'll take him later. Okay. All right, sorry about that. I guess my kid didn't wake up. My bad. All right, fine. Gotta go near enough telly after. Sorry about that. All right, so we left off. Tashma. No, right before that. So boy mine, yes, sorry about that. So boy mine merav Nachman bar Yitzchak hamaskir bais lechavero bi'albarsar. One who goes ahead and rents a house, right, from somebody else, from another Jew, right? Almi livdok. Whose responsibility is it to go ahead and do b'dikas chametz? Alamasker livdok the chamir dedehu. Do we say that really it's upon the landlord because lamaisa any chametz there was from before, right? And the chametz belonged to the landlord. Odilma, alaseicher livdok, or perhaps it is on the renter. The surah because now the Isser is going to be in his possession, right? He's taking possession on the 14th, and therefore the chametz will be in his possession, and therefore he's going to be the one violating. So it should be on him to do the bedika. So Tashma, come and listen. Hamasker ba'isa chavero, one who goes ahead and rents an apartment from his friend. Alaseicher lasas lemezuzah, right? It is upon the renter to go ahead and put up the mezuzah. So just like the renter is responsible to put out the mezuzahs, right? So too, it should be the responsibility of the tenant to go ahead and do the bedikas chametz. So Gemara deflects says, no, right? The mezuzah is the obligation of the person there, right? Because he's the one who gets the shmirah, right? He's the one who the mezuzahs protect over. So therefore, the responsibility is upon him, right? So you can't compare it to the case of bedikas chametz because maybe, since the chametz belong to the landlord, maybe it should be on him. And Hachamai, but over here, so Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Tanina, we actually learn another brisa. Hamasker ba'isa chavero, one who goes ahead and rents an apartment from his friend. Im achla masalam aftechos, if before he gets the hands over the keys, chal arbarosar, then the 14th started. Alamasker livdok, then it is upon the landlord to go ahead and to do the bedika, because the handing over of the keys is the kinyan. That's when the kinyan starts. So even though there's a calendar day, once he gives them the keys, right? When he gets the keys, that's when the transaction happens. And therefore, if he got the keys after the 14th started, right, it's upon the landlord, because when the 14th started already, it was he still was in possession of it. If, however, the zman of bedika was ready, the keys are already in the hands of the renter, then it's upon the renter to do the bedikas. Then it's upon the renter. So boy minei merav Nachman bar Yitzchak hamasker ba'is chaver barbasar chaskaso baduk or ein chaskaso baduk. One who goes ahead and rents a house, right, on the 14th. Right, so he gets it on the 14th. Is there a chazaka that it was checked already? So let's say like the morning of the 14th, right? He gets in the morning. Is there a chazaka that it was checked or not? Or any chazaka baduk? So Gemara says, first of all, lamai nafkamina. What's the nafkamina? Whether there's a chazaka or not? They shall go ahead and ask him. Did you do the bedika? Right. So delese lahai l'shilui. Maybe he's not around. So the question is, the nafkamina is la truche lahai mai. So do we say this person has to go ahead and do a bedika, right? Does he have to go ahead and do a bedika? Or do we say there's a chazaka that since the responsibility was the night before to do bedikas chametz, the landlord did bedikas chametz, and therefore the guy coming in the morning does not have to go ahead and do anything. Samar lahu, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Tanisua. We learned hakol ne'amanim al bir chametz, afilu nashim, afilu avadim, afilu katanim, right? Everyone is believed, right, to say that right, and when Rashi explains that everyone is believed on beer, right, the burning of the chametz, right, Rashi says 2 lines on the bottom, he says, right, to testify or to say over that on the 14th, the last night, they did the bedika. So says over here, right, everybody is believed to say that the chametz was checked. Afilu nashim, afilu avadim, even a women or avadim who are not normally believed in Beis Din, right, they're not kosher. Nevertheless, they're believed to say that there was a bedika done last night. And I feel the and even minors. So my time hemne. What? So Gemara says, what's the reason why?
The brisa you just quoted said,
yeah,
beer chametz, not bedikas chametz.
Right. So look at Rashi. I said Rashi 2 lines from the bottom. Rashi says ne'manim al beer chametz. He said lehei bar ba'asar, to testify that on the 14th shabadku ba'alav emosh, right? That the owners checked it yesterday. Right. Yeah. There, Rashi's teaching it up that the chazaka is that, or that they're believed to say that last night they did the bedika. Okay, it means about the inyan of beer chametz. Part of the beer chametz we'll soon see later on is the bedika into the beer, right? But the bedika, that part was done. They're believed to say the bedika was done the night before. So the Gemara says, "My time in the hemne."
A quick question.
Yeah.
If it says uviartem et kol asher that you have to burn everything, meaning everybody is obligated to it. if obligated to burn the chametz, aren't they obligated even through shaliach to do bdika? Because it's connected. They obligated to do the bdika to make sure that it be atem the call that you burn everything. No, I mean, I'm just thinking about.
They are obligated, but let's say they're not even involved. Let's say they know the guy, they saw the guy, right? They're next door neighbors with the landlord, right? They're not related. And the woman says, oh yeah, she knows everything goes on the block. I saw, right? Or l'chara, she's saying, oh yeah, I saw him do, your landlord do the bedika last night. Is she believed or not? So it knows we're not talking about whether the obligation is on her, on the one reporting it, right? They're innocent bystanders. They just have knowledge, or they saw what occurred, and they're just saying it over. So the question is, who gave them? Where do we give them the ne'emanos, right? The believability, not kosher edus, right? Who says we can go ahead and believe them? The Gemara is going to question it right now, right? So why do we believe them? It's not talking about an obligation on them. The obligation is on the landlord, right? So now we're going to see, the Gemara is going to see whether it is. We're going to talk about it, sort of like your question. So good question. Let's see. So my time, no, I'm still there.
He never went to school?
He did woke up late, I guess. Yeah. So I'll take him or whatever. Fine. So Gemara says, my time, so what's the reason why we believe them? Turn the page on top of the page. It must be that there's a chazaka. In other words, it's not edus, right? We don't say that, a woman can testify about a case. No, you can't testify about that. But there's a chazaka that since there was an obligation to do the bedika the night before, that the landlord did a bedika the night before. He did what he was supposed to do, right? So that everyone is considered to be a chaver. Everyone is considered to be a person who does his mitzvahs, right? For a chavis, Talmid Chacham in some cases, but a person he's believed to be someone who fulfills his obligation. So everybody, when it comes to chametz on Pesach, everybody is a chaver when it comes to bedikas chametz. The Tanya learn in the Rice, chaver shemeis v'niach megura malei peros. If a chaver dies, one of the assumptions of a chaver that he always goes ahead and he takes his trumas and meisers. So he dies and he leaves over a whole, a storehouse full of fruits. Even if they were just taken that day. Right? They're in a chazaka that they were already quote unquote fixed. Their trumas and meisos are all taken from him because he wouldn't go ahead and store anything without ever doing the right thing. Right? That's what a chaver does. So if a chaver, when it comes to b'dikas chametz, if the time of the evening of the 14th passes, there's a chazaka that he's a chaver. There's a chazaka that he did the proper b'dika. So umimai. So who says that's the same? Dilma shani.
Yo, if that was the case, then why would you have to wait until the night before to do Badika? Because why couldn't you do it a month before? Why can you do it,
No. Everyone is, it's not the fact that we're getting rid of chametz, right? There's a special obligation. You're supposed to clean before, right? Or is a special obligation to go over everything now, right? To do the bedika now. That's a chiyuv. In other words, it's not just getting rid of the chametz, right? There's an actual obligation, right? Which we're going to have to go ahead and see of doing a bedikas chametz, right? It's not just a responsibility of not having chametz, right? If I know I'm still obligated to do a bedika, so everybody does that obligation, that chiyuv of bedikas chametz, which we'll soon see, right? This is only the rabbanon, right? We'll see. So Gemara says, who says that's the case? Who says the whole svara here is because it's a chazaka that Jews do b'dikas chametz, right? Right? So maybe the difference is over here is, no, it's not a chazaka. It's because other people said, right? We're talking about other people said, no, he did b'dikas chametz. That's why we believe this case. So Gemara says, Sahani ato amira dahani midi mashasha isba, right? What their testimony is something a woman can go ahead and testify in based in about a monetary case. She can't, right? A child can do it. He can't, right? They're not kosher edus. So it's not. You can't tell me the svara here is because we're listening to the katan or the isha or the eved, right? That doesn't make any sense. It should be right because there's a chazaka that that Jews do b'dikas chametz. Okay, so what are you going to say? Let's go with that side. Let's go. There's a chazaka that it's already checked that he did his responsibility last night. So hi hakol ne'emanim, right? So why did that Brisa say hakol ne'emanim? Right? Sounds like we believe all people. It has to do with the testimony of people, right? Hi hakol ne'emanim. Kol abatim mechasas badukim barabal asam yiboyle. It should have said all houses are considered to be checked on the 14th because they were done the night before, right? Nothing to do with any sort of testimony. If you're telling me the reason why they're believed is because there's a chazaka that houses are checked. So it's nothing to do with whoever reports it, right? It has to do with the fact that it's a house and people are considered to be a chaver when it comes to the midst of b'dikas chametz, and therefore it's considered to be checked. So Ella Mai, rather Mishum Amira Dahani Ella Mai, right? What are you gonna say? Ella Mishum Amira Dahani, rather it must be because it's something to do with their quote unquote their testimony. So hello, Hami, hello. But if they didn't say anything, that we can say, well, if they didn't say anything, then there's chazaka that it wasn't checked. So you want to learn it that way. So Gemara says no, lo. There's normally is a chazaka that Jews go ahead and do b'dikas chametz, right? And they do it in the proper time and they do it in the proper place. But over here, what was this case dealing with? The muchzaklan delay badak. We know this person, it was a chazaka that this person was busy, right? He goes out, right? We know, right? He plays for the Washington Wizards, right? He's on the basketball team, and we saw that he was playing last night. He had a basketball game on that night, and he wasn't there, right? He didn't do the b'dika. Or right, so there's a chazaka, or people are saying that he was out of town. The kamri hani, and these people saying whether it was the isha or whether it was the eved or whether it was the katan, the kamri hani, the batkine. No, he did do the b'dika, or he had someone do the b'dika. The b'dika was done. So there, even though we thought to say otherwise, there was a reason that we thought he didn't do the b'dika. But if they tell us no, he did the right thing, he did the b'dika in the right time. So therefore, we believe him. So what's the chiddush? So Mazim, what would you say? Lo lehemunei rabbanan. What would you say that we don't? The rabbis don't listen to these people, i.e., the isha or the eved or the katan. Kamash malan. Therefore, kevan the b'dikas chametz midrabanan. Right? Since really, according to this Gemara, saying the b'dikas chametz is only midrabanan. Who? De midaraisa bebitul b'almasagile. Right? That since really b'dikas chametz is midrabanan. Right, the Rabbanan only require you to b'dikas chametz. Why? Because deraisa, all you have to do is bittul. Right, one goes ahead. You cannot own your chametz. Right, so there's two ways of doing it. A, I can physically remove all chametz. Now I don't own it anymore. Right, because I don't have any. Or you can be mevatel. You can say all of my chametz, right, is nullified. Right, is worthless to me. Right, and therefore b'yitl b'almasag at the deraisa level. And all right, this is a very actually big machloikas. Rishonim about the halacha of bittul, right? Rashi says, Rashi says, "Bittul ba'alma," says "Dechsiv tashbisu." It says over there, tashbisu, right? The veloik siv tivaro. It says basically destroy. It doesn't say burn it, right? There's no the Torah doesn't say burn it, right? It says tashbisu, right? Should be destroyed, right? And destroying it in your heart, i.e., being mevatalit, is the kiyum of this deraisa. So really, midaraisa, all you got to do is say do bittul. You don't have to go ahead and do the b'dika. It's the rabbanan, right? As the rabbanan require you to b'dika, and therefore, since it's only a derabbanan, right? Therefore, we believe the isha, eved, and the katan regarding this case that no, they did do the b'dika. All right, therefore, the rabbanan believe since this case was a midrabbanan. Fine, 2 dots. Middle of the page on Daled Amud Beis. So Iboilu. Hamasker by Chaveir because Baduk. Umatza Shena Baduk. One goes ahead and leases a house from his friend and the chazaka that it was checked for chametz. And it turns out that it was not, they did not do b'dikas chametz there. Right? You go ahead, you rent your house in Orlando, right? You get there, oh, we do everything for you. We even do your b'dikas chametz. You go there and you find there was no b'dika done. Right? So Mahu. Do we say this is a mekach, right? This is a mekach is something that there was a certain stipulation or deal that had to be done, and it was not fulfilled. So they didn't do the b'dika. So does that go ahead and nullify our agreement, right? I was renting a house that, from you in Orlando because I want to be near SeaWorld, right? Is there a SeaWorld? Yeah, I think, right? I want to go ahead and be there. So, but it wasn't checked. So I don't have to pay you anything. I can find another place. So, hello. So Tashma comes and Amar Abaye, Lomi Boy, Astra, Delayavi Agra, Ubadku, not only in a place, right, of where people, let's say, they don't pay others to do the b'dikas chametz, rather they check themselves, right? The nichle inish the human mitzvah begufe, that is, it's good for a person. People like doing mitzvahs with their body. So even if you were supposed to go ahead and do it, but since b'dikas chametz is normally not paid for, one himself does the b'dika. So okay, you left me the mitzvah. I'm happy to do the mitzvah with my body to do the physical b'dika. That's not an issue. So certainly that's not a mekach. Ella filu be'asra, even in a place, the Yavi Agra, ubadku, even a place where basically, someone has a side business, a side hustle, and he does bedikas chametz for people. So people pay others to do bedikas chametz. So now you didn't do the bedikas chametz, right? So I got to find someone, pay him $100 to do my bedikas chametz. So maybe I can have a real claim and say, oh, it's a mekach tos, right? There's no deal because you violated our agreement. Right? There is basically even a person's money. He's happy when a person uses his money for mitzvah. So even though that it was stipulated that you would do b'dikas chametz, even if I have to end in the end, I have to hire some myself. People like when mitzvahs are done with their money, and therefore it would not be considered to be a mekach tos. Fine, 2 dots. Tanan Hasam, we learn over there of Meir Oimer. Now we get into the Isser of chametz on Arba Asar on the 14th. So Tanan Hasam, Rabbi Meir Oimer. You can eat the first 5 hours in the morning. So assuming let's do a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. day. So the up until 5 hours, right, is up until 11 o'clock. You can go ahead and eat chametz the first 5 hours, and then you burn it at the beginning of the 6th hour, i.e. at 11:01. Right, because the Isser is going to be at chatzos at 12 after the 6 hours. All right. So and Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Eichlin kol arba. No, you can only eat the first 4 hours, right? You can eat from 6 or even before 6, but from 6 up until the end of up until 10 o'clock. That's 4 hours, right? 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, right? That's 4 hours. The Tolen kol chamesh, and then between the 10 to 11 hours, you just you chill, you stop eating, you make sure you don't do anything. The sarvim is chesed, and then you begin at the beginning of the 6th hour. Okay, but we're not going to get to that machlokas right now. Nevertheless, to kuliyalma mia chametz misheshos lamalo aser. Everyone agrees that the chametz basically has to be burnt in the 6th hour by the end of the 6th hour because chametz is now aser from noon and on. After 6 hours, it's aser. So now minolan. So how do we know this? Where do we know that it's aser? So I'm going to buy a trade kroik. See, there's 2 psukim found in the Torah. See, one pasuk says shivas yamim sor leimatzi v'teichem. One pasuk says for 7 days you should not find soor, right? 11 you should not find in your houses. See, the pasuk says ach b'yom harishon tashbisu v'sorim b'teichem, right? And then it says over there on the 7th day, right? You should go ahead and tashbisu, remove or completely get rid of the soor, the leaven from your house. Now, how is that possible if you can't have it for 7 days? So what are you doing with it on Yom Rishon, right? It sounds like from Yom Rishon you started with it, now you're getting rid of it. But if you can't have it all 7 days of Pesach, right? That's only the Ach B'Yom Rishon on the first day, meaning the first day of Pesach on the 15th. Well, I couldn't have had it any time of the day. It sounds like you have it part of the day, then have to destroy it on that day. So it comes to teach you that no, that B'Yom Harishon on day 1 is not referring to the 7 days where it's Usr. That's not referring to 15 through 22, right? The 15th of Nisan through the 22nd, right? It's actually the Yom Harishon, because that's completely Usr. It must be a day where part of it is mutter, and then on that day you go ahead and you burn it. So therefore, it's not the 15th, rather the 14th of Nisan, which is Erev Pesach. So okay, Rabbas Arasa Lebir, Rabbas Lele Chamisha Asar Lebir. Maybe like this, right? Maybe we'll say that really 7 days. So what's the apostle telling you on the first day of the destroy because it was already mutter? Maybe it's telling you that which we say 7 days is usher, right? Maybe we mean that you can burn it on the 15th at night, i.e., so we said, let's say, Pesach, you have your Seder night is the 15th, right? That night. So the Seder night is when you do the beer. Maybe it's Avin, right? Maybe the beer. Maybe the 15th, that's when you do the beer. Maybe who says it's the Isser Chametz starts on Erev Pesach? Maybe it starts the first night of Pesach itself. And the Salkadai, Yomim Ksiv. Maybe it says over there, Shivas Yomim for 7 full days. And the 7 full days only start on day 1, not Seder night. The next morning, the first day of Pesach is when the Isser of Chametz start. And therefore, you burn it on the night before, on Leil Seder. Right? And maybe only during days and not nights. So Kamash Malon, therefore it says Afilu Leilos, maybe. And then we use the pasuk of Ach B'Yom Rishon to tell you that maybe the 15th at night they burn the chametz, right? So maybe it's telling us that really all the 14th chametz is mutter, right? This is the Havamir, right? All chametz is mutter, all Erev Pesach. The Seder night, right? That's the night where it tells you B'yom Harishon Tashbisu Seor. That's you get rid of the leaven, and then from the next morning, you start fulfilling for the next 7 days. You start fulfilling Shivas Yomim. So maybe that's the case. So the Gemara gives a teirutz, but we'll get to it tomorrow. Cliffhanger. We'll stop here at the bottom because tomorrow starts a new sugya. Mitzvah Shem, tomorrow 7:00. I hope all of you will be able to sleep with that the big kasha in the Gemara. Also want to wish, is Josh here? I saw Josh is here. Wish Josh a mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov, Josh.